If you want hard-hitting Social Democratic commentary, you know what to do. To get that hard-hitting Social Democratic commentary, have it accessible. Just subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so you're kept up to date. I am American Social Democracy. Hunter Biden, the son of the president, Joe Biden. Recently, it was discovered that he had some racist text that he used over a period of time. And this is when they're trying to find out, get things on Hunter Biden. And here's the thing: Hunter Biden has a lot of baggage already. I mean, he's incredibly corrupt, as is his father. And I have nothing to benefit by going out there to defend Hunter Biden, but I am not going to carry the water for the right wing either, because they're suspect too, and I'll explain in a few moments what I mean. Hunter Biden, as I said, has got a lot of baggage. I mean, the foreign money fraud that he received, getting money from Ukraine, China. And do I think that he's guilty? Absolutely. I absolutely do think he's guilty of this. Is he a war criminal, a monster? No, not particularly. But he's corrupt, and he is a piece of shit for using the term he used to describe African Americans. He's also a drug user. Now, on that one, I'm not being judgmental. Some people can go ahead and use drugs casually, and they're functional, and life is fine. I don't give a damn whether the drugs are legal or not. I have a whole different perspective on what should be done in terms of our drug war. Certainly, the drug war that we have right now, the drug policies of the United States is not working, other than a handful of states that legalize marijuana. And good for those states that legalize marijuana. I am looking forward to seeing it legalized in all 50 states. I haven't done anything illegal since the year 2007, when I smoked some weed at a party in Chapel Hill. Somebody was passing a bowl around. I took a hit, and it's not that I myself didn't find the need to go and get some of the so-called illegal substances, but I was like, what was I? I was like 38 years old, 39 years old at the time, and I just never found myself in a situation where I needed to obtain anything to get a high. I mean, I've kind of just outgrown it, but I'm okay if people want to smoke weed. I'm okay people want to take psychedelics. I'm okay people want to snort coke. It's something I definitely would not ever want to do, but hey, to each is their own, as long as they're not harming anybody. So I favor, at a minimum, favor the legalization of marijuana 100%. And I'm on the fence about whether the other drugs should be legals. However, I definitely favor decriminalization of all the other drugs. But, I'm evolving on that issue. So I might favor full legalization of all drugs tomorrow. Another subject for another time. But here's where I get kind of suspicious. The people who are attacking Hunter Biden is a roundabout way to make a jab and to score political partisan talking points just to own Joe Biden. Now, I am no fan of Joe Biden. I did not vote for Joe Biden in the primaries last year. Although I almost voted for Joe Biden in the election, He was just too conservative of a Democrat, so I voted Green Party last year. So anybody who wants to accuse me of being a partisan Democrat and carrying water for the Democrats, they can just save their breath. Because I have no use for Joe Biden. I have no use for Hunter Biden. I have no use for most politicians, to tell you the truth, from both parties. So, but I smell partisan hackery, and I cringe at people who try to basically, when I know where their heart is on these matters, I know partisan hackery and I know hypocrisy when I see it. Now back to the racist text. Of course, it's terrible. It is terrible to use that awful word. It's a horrible word because of what it's been associated with for centuries. During the days of slavery, when the colonial powers were going into Africa and kidnapping whole groups of people against their will, putting them on a ship across the ocean, and many of these would-be slaves died on their way, and the ones that made it here were sold to white people and treated in a subhuman-like manner for centuries. It's not the sole reason we had a civil war, but we had a war in the United States called the Civil War, which did get rid of slavery. But after slavery, for the blacks in the South, things were not much better. They were subjected to what was supposed to be separate but equal, but Jim Crow basically made life a living hell for African Americans in the South. And even though in the outside the South there was a little more equality, even in those areas of the country, there was still discrimination. It was just not as intense as it was in the South. And even in some southern states, some Jim Crow laws were more stringent than others. North Carolina at that time was considered one of the more liberal states in the South, where the Jim Crow wasn't as cruel as, let's say, in places like Mississippi or Alabama or Georgia or places like that. Regardless, discrimination is an evil, and the word is associated with Jim Crow, and it's associated with slavery, and it's associated with what white people did against African Americans in this country over the centuries. And it's not that, the civil rights movement in the 60s is over. Everybody's there's racial justice now. There is still racism in all walks of life and everything. It's more, for many years, it was a little more subtle. In some cases, not so damn subtle. I'll give you an example. In criminal justice, is far from subtle. I think that is still the definite raw picture that remains today of Jim Crow when you look at law enforcement. So the word is associated with that. But here's the thing: the selective outrage, what I like to call reverse PC, the right-wing variation of cancel culture. And so this is a chance to hear the talking points from the right wing. And it goes something like this. It's the same people that like to say, well, everybody know that the Democrats are the real racists. As they embrace, that's these Republicans sit there and act like, why are you trying to take down the Confederate flag as the official state flag? Why are you trying to take down Confederate symbols and things of that nature? But then they go and accuse liberals of being racist. Now, we don't want to talk about Confederate flags and Confederate symbols and what place it has in the United States. I support the movement to take down these Confederate monuments all over the country, and to replace the Confederate flag with a flag that reflects everybody in a state, instead of symbols of hate. What should be done with these symbols and the monuments? I would say take them down and put them in a freaking museum. Problem solved. Problem solved. When I went to Washington, D.C. years ago, back in 2005, and visited the Holocaust Museum, you can put these you can have a museum of the Civil War kind of along the lines of the Holocaust Museum. So we can learn from our past. And I know some people on the right, they'll be like, oh, there they go talking about racism again. Oh, no, why can't we ever stop talking about racism? And what the ironic thing is, a lot of these white people will say that are willing to never forget what happened to 6 million Jews in the Holocaust. And no one should ever forget that. But you have to understand, slavery, the institution of slavery, was the African Americans' version of the Holocaust. And, and it's the sin that the United States lives with. Now, all countries have their evil path, and so do we. And you got people who are against critical race theory because they think it's supposed to indoctrinate white children in school with self-hatred against themselves, whatever. Nonsense. It's teaching about the past, a past that's kind of either been previously soft-pedaled or ignored, like the Tulsa massacre in 1921 and that sort of thing. But here's the thing. They want to own Joe Biden by attacking his son. Well, you see, it proves he's really a racist. Hey, the Democrats are the real racists. That's their attitude. And they're doing it to try to exploit the anger of African Americans. And they're cynically thinking, well, we can just go and manipulate the thoughts of African Americans and turn them over to our side. Here's the thing. That in itself is racist, because these right-wingers are assuming it's basically a racism of low expectations. They figure go and get on the emotional issue at hand, and that's going to go and turn them toward toward African Americans, back toward the Republican Party, where they were, prior to the 1930s, when majority of the blacks in the United States voted Republican. Well, here's the thing. Most African Americans are individuals like whites are individuals, and each individual and family got their problems, and they got things that they have to resolve to make it through the next day, whether it's going to work or going to school or what have you. What policies are the right wings offering other than to condescend the black community with their fake outrage against the racist text? What policy are they offering that's going to be beneficial to the African American community? I mean, and I'm talking about things like criminal justice. How is this going to stop one more white cop from killing a black person at will for no reason at all? How is this fake outrage going to stop one more execution in the United States, whereby most executions that takes place, whether the person being executed is innocent and framed or actually guilty, the execution is always racially motivated? How is that going to put a stop to it? On the economics, how is this fake outrage is going to bring back the manufacturing base that was destroyed in the 1970s and the 1980s, that destroyed middle-class manufacturing jobs for then middle-class whites and middle-class blacks? and where at that time the economic life quality of life was rising for the better for the African American community until deindustrialization taking place in the 70s and the 80s, where a lot of factories were closed down. How is this fake outrage going to go and uplift the economic inequality that exists in the United States? How is this fake outrage is going to repair the problems that we have with private health insurance companies playing God with people's lives, not covering people healthcare needs when they're paying high premiums for insurance, or they can't have access to insurance and they go and die because they don't have access to health insurance? How is this fake outrage going to repair that situation? The answer is it won't. And the people who are engaged in the selective outrage, they don't give a damn about these issues. So, again, I don't see why making a big fuss about Hunter Biden using words that are horrible. Where is it that the Ben Shapiro's and the Steven Crowders and the Candace Owens and the Sean Hannity's and all of these fuckers using crying crocodile tears about racism? Show me policy where Americans, no matter who you are, the economics will improve. The answer is they have no answers other than to be partisan pricks. That's what it comes down to. Hunter Biden is an asshole for using the racist text. It didn't kill anybody. It didn't, it's just something that's used in bad taste. But while I have a lower opinion of him, life goes on. And it's otherwise not that big a deal. There are bigger deals than that. If you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you were in total disagreement, well, that's fine. Comment anyway. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to go ahead and create your own platform and utilize the word of muckrakers of our time. Feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're kept up to date with hard-hitting social democratic commentary. And until next time, I am America's social democracy. Peace. Class struggle yesterday, class struggle today, class struggle tomorrow, and class struggle until we achieve full economic and social justice for all.